Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show us how we can study how cancellation depends on two variables. So in the previous video, what we saw was that people who use the book method default at a very high rate, statement somewhat high, then the checking and credit not so high, and we made some bar graphs with that. But what if we wanted to study how default rates depend not only on the payment type, but also another variable? So the simplest case is when this other variable is categorical. And so let's just go see what's in this data set. You're going to see that there is a gender variable, and we could use that. All right, so perhaps the simplest way to do this in R with using base graphics is to use something called the interaction plot. So I introduced the with command last time, default. So with the default data frame, we're going to use the interaction.plot, and you immediately get some help. Now, interaction plot expects really three arguments. So which variable is on the x-axis? That could be, for example, payment type. Which variable is the trace variable? We're going to use gender there. And then what is the response? And then what you'll see if you read the help page is the default is you're going to get the mean, but you could change that if you wanted. All right, so again, we're going to put the x variable first. So this is payment type. The trace factor is gender. And then the response variable is default, so the default variable. Now I like to do one more thing. I like to say color equals 1:2, which will give me two colored lines. One will be black, one will be red. And so this is great because it creates a legend for us automatically, and you're going to see that, well, both men and women are pretty likely to cancel if they use book, less likely with statement, not at all likely with checking, and not very likely with credit. The next thing I want to show you is how we could break this out by a numeric variable instead of a categorical variable. So for example, we know that one of the most important variables in this data set is the down payment amount from our other analyses. How could we break it out by both payment type and the down payment? Well, the problem with down payment is it takes way too many unique values, so we're going to have to bin it. There's a function that's quite easy for binning it. So I'm going to first let's just do a summary on default $down payment, and what we have here are the quartiles. So I could just chop this thing at the quartiles and use those. Well, luckily there's a very nice function for cutting up a variable. That's exactly what we're doing, is we're cutting up a variable. The name of that function is called cut. So I'm going to say default $down payment 4, meaning there's going to be 4 bins. And if you say cut default $down payment, now the next thing you have to do is give it exactly where these cut points are. Okay, so you could pass to it just the quartiles. I'm going to do something that, kind of cheating a little bit. I'm going to type them. It's not really cheating, but it just kind of saves us from, and just put the last one, let's say 10,000. All right. And one other argument that's useful is you say include .lowest equals true. All right, so that's going to include 0 in the bottom bin. And if I do a table now on default $down payment 4, you're going to see, I actually kind of like the labels. The first bin is $0 to $45, then okay, just greater than 45 up through and including 100, and so forth. And you have the counts of all these, and there's roughly a quarter in each of them. So, how are we going to make a plot with this? Well, I'm going to cheat, and let's just go bring up the previous command and edit it. All right, so in this previous command, you know, we had payment type on the x-axis, gender as the trace factor. I'm going to put down payment for as the x variable. We're going to put payment type as the trace factor. Now, the reason for this, I mean, it's good to look at it both ways, but I like to put something that's inherently a continuous variable along an axis and use a categorical variable as the trace variable. There's no real right or wrong there. All right. The other thing is I had colors 1 through 2 before because there are only 2 genders. Now I have 4 types, so let's use color 1 through 4. And now we have a very nice graph. You're going to see we have separate lines for statement, book, checking, and credit. And this, I think, tells the story that if you put a lot of money down, doesn't matter what payment method you use, you're not going away. However, if you don't put much down, beware of book, beware of statement. The other 2 aren't too bad. Just for fun, I'm going to go interchange the order of those. So let's get down put payment type here and down payment next. So I just interchange the orders. I think you have to spell it right though, so let's go put another T in there. So spelling is my weakness. This gives you a slightly different view of the exact same story. If you look at, for example, the dark blue line, those are people who put a lot of money down. Doesn't matter what payment method you use, you're not going away. However, you put very little down, well, beware if it's book, somewhat beware if it's statement. All right, that's it. So at this point, you should be able to compute the percentage of some variable and break it out by at least one, maybe 2 other variables. How we could break this out. The next thing I want to show you a numeric variable instead of a categorical variable. By a numeric variable. For example, we know that one of the most important variables in this data set. For example, we know that one of the most important variables in this data set. How could we break it out by both our other analyses and the down payment? How could we break it out by both payment type and the down payment? It takes way too many unique values. So the problem with down payment is it takes way too many unique values. So there's a function that's quite easy for binning it. So there's a function that's quite easy for binning it. Let's do a summary. I'm gonna first let's do a summary payment on default. And what we have here down payment are the quartiles. And so what we have here this thing at the quartiles. And so I could just use this thing at the quartiles. Well, luckily there's a very nice function those for cutting up a variable. Luckily there's a very nice function. Exactly what we're doing is we're cutting up a variable. Cutting up a variable. The name of that function is called cutting up a variable. So I'm going to say the name of that function is called cut. So I'm going to say default dollar down, meaning there's going to be 4 bins. Down payment, and if you say cut, meaning there's going to be 4 bins. Default dollar down. And if you say cut payment, default. Now the next dollar down to do payment is give it. Now the next exactly where these cut points is give it. Okay, so exactly where these cut points pass to it. Okay, so just the quartiles. I'm going to do something to it. Just the quartiles. I'm going to do something that type them. It's not really cheating, but. Cheating a little bit. It just kind of saves us from cheating, but just put the last one. It just kind of saves us from. And one other argument that's useful is you say include. And one other argument that's useful is you say include equals true. All right. So that's going to include 0 in the bottom bin equals true. And if I do a table that's going to include 0 in the bottom bin, dollar down. And if I do a table now, you're going to see. Dollar down. I actually kind of like the labels. You're going to see the bin. First bin is 0 to $45. Then just greater than first bin is 0 to $45, including 100. Okay, just greater than 45. You have and including 100. All these, and there's roughly a quarter. And you have the counts of all these. So roughly, how are we going to make a plot with this? So I'm going to. How are we going to make a? Let's just go bring up the plot with this command. Well, I'm going to cheat. And
All
let's
right,
just go
so
bring
in
up
this
the previous command. You
and
know, we
edit
had
it.
payment
All
type
right,
on the
so in this
x-axis,
previous
gender.
command,
You
as
know,
the
we had
trace factor,
payment type on the x-axis,
I'm gonna
gender
put
as the trace
down
factor.
payment
4 as the
I'm
x
gonna
variable. We're going
put
to put payment
down
type as the trace
payment
factor. Now, the
4
reason
as the
for
x
this,
variable. We're gonna put payment
I mean,
type
it's
as
good
the
to look
trace
at it both
factor. Now,
ways,
the
but
reason
I
for
like to
this,
put something that's.
I mean,
that's
it's good to look at it
inherently
both ways, but
you know,
I like to
continuous
put
variable
something that's
along
that's
an axis
inherently
and use a
continuous
variable
variable
along an axis
as the trace
and
variable.
use a categorical variable.
You know, there's
as,
no real
as the
right or
trace
wrong
variable.
there. All right.
The other thing is I had colors
there's no
1
real
through
right
2
or wrong
before
there.
because there are only
All
2
right.
genders.
The
Now
other
I have
thing is
4
I had
types,
colors
so let's use
1
color
through
1
2
through
before.
4 because there are only 2 genders. Now I have 4 types.
Now we
so
have
let's
a
use
very
color
nice
1 through
graph.
4. You're going to see we have separate lines for
now we
statement
have
book,
a very nice graph.
checking. You're going to see
credit.
we have separate lines for
and
statement
this, I think,
book,
tells the
story that if you
credit.
put a lot of money down,
And this,
doesn't
I
matter
think,
what
tells
payment method
the
you use,
story
you're
that
not
if you
going
put a
away.
lot of money
However,
down,
if you don't put
doesn't
much
matter what
down,
payment method you use, you're not
beware
going away.
of book. However, if you don't
beware
put
of
much
statement,
down,
the other two aren't too bad.
beware of book.
Just for
beware
fun,
of statement,
I'm
the
going
other
to
two aren't too
interchange the
bad.
order of those. So let's get
just for fun,
I'm going to go interchange the order of those. So
here.
let's get
and down payment next. So I just interchange the orders.
Here. I think you
and
have
down
to
payment
spell
next.
it right.
So I just interchange the orders.
Another T in there.
I think you
so
have to spell it right.
my weakness.
So let's go put another
this
T
gives
in
you
there.
a slightly different view of
the exact same
this gives you a slightly
if
different
you look
view
at,
of the,
for example,
the exact same
dark
story.
blue line.
If you look at
those are people
for
who put a lot of
example,
money down.
the dark
doesn't
blue
matter
line,
what payment method you
those are
use.
people
You're
who put a lot of
going away.
money down.
However,
Doesn't
you put
matter
very
what
little
payment
down.
method you use.
Well,
you're not
beware
going
if
away.
it's book.
However, you put
somewhat
very little
beware if it's
down.
statement. Well, beware
right.
if it's book.
That's
somewhat
it.
beware
So
if it's
at this
statement.
point, you should be able to
That's
compute
the
the
percentage
so
of some
at this
variable
point,
and
you
break
should
it
be
out
able to
by at
compute
least
the percentage
one, maybe
of some
two
variable
other
and
variables.
break it out by at least one, maybe two other variables.